Welcome to this training video. Today we will be taking a general look at assemblies. First off, what is an assembly? An assembly is a standardized component of a utilities infrastructure comprised of materials, labor hours, and accounting information that represents a specific type of asset. Assemblies can be linked to a GIS system map to allow for detailed information about a utilities infrastructure to be recorded with a visual representation of that asset. And through work orders, assemblies can be installed, removed, or transferred to mimic work done out in the field. The term construction unit is also commonly used to represent a specific assembly installed in your system. Construction units will indicate information about a specific asset, such as the year of installation, the cost, quantity, length, and any other pertinent information, such as station number. Assemblies are made up of multiple different components, but let's focus on three major ones today: material, labor hours, and the accounting information. Material represents the physical items that can be removed, installed, or transferred on a specific asset. Labor hours. Assemblies can include estimated standard time for installs, removals, and transfers for each of these material groups. This allows you to make quick estimates using a work order, giving you a good understanding of what a work order is going to cost. Accounting information. Each assembly in OpenPoint is tied to a specific 7-digit capital account number. This is important because it ensures the costs associated with each assembly are properly tracked in the CPR. Now, let's look at an example assembly. Here we have an assembly for a crossarm. The assembly code CRA8 is a unique code that makes searching and entering this assembly quick and easy. In addition to this, there's an assembly description, crossarm, 8-foot wood arm, that can also be used to search and enter in a work order. Within this assembly, it's comprised of two different materials. The first material is the 8-foot wood crossarm, and the second is two 20-inch wood braces. One of the main benefits of assemblies is you can track multiple materials with different quantities in one assembly. This allows you to enter one assembly record instead of 3 separate records for each individual material. This assembly is tied to the account number 364.2000, which is the account for crossarms. The accounting information is automatically tied to each of the materials used in this installation. This assembly also has some standard labor hours, 4 hours to install and 2 to remove. This allows in a work order to generate the expected labor costs to install one crossarm assembly. Let's look at another assembly. This one is for a cutout, with the assembly code of CUT 100 and an assembly description of cutout 100 amp. Now, not every assembly has to have multiple different materials. A majority of the time, one assembly will often have one material, but the benefit is, on more complex assemblies, you can have as many different types of material as you want. Here, there's just one material for a 100 amp fused cutout. The account number for this assembly is 365.1140, which is the account for cutouts, and it has standard labor information for half an hour to install and 0.2 hours to remove with 1 hour to transfer. The transfer time represents the time it would take to remove the cutout off the pole and then to put it back on, whether the pole is to be replaced or if the cutout is to be moved to another pole nearby. A third assembly, one for a guy wire, with the assembly code of guy 3/8 and an assembly description of guy down guy 3/8. This assembly has multiple material on it as well, one for the guy guard and another for the guy wire of 3/8. Assemblies can have multiple materials as well as standard quantities for each of these materials. So for this assembly, there's always going to be the same amount of guy wire issued. Through the work order, you can always adjust this amount to issue less or more depending on what is physically used. The account information for this assembly is account 364.1180, and this is the account for guys. It has standard labor hours associated with it, for an hour to install, half an hour to remove, and 1 hour to transfer. Now let's look at a pole with all of the assemblies on it. We can see that this pole has 2 assemblies for crossarms, 1 assembly for cutouts, and 1 assembly for a down guy. Assemblies allow you to track multiple different types of material associated with different account numbers easily and quickly. Here are some more assemblies detailed below. We can see that each has unique codes with a longer description that gives more information about the assembly that a user can use to help pick the right one. Here we can see those assemblies expanded so we can see the material used, and we notice that the top 4 have multiple different types of material while the bottom 4 only have 1. So assembly account numbers. Account numbers are automatically associated with each assembly, and the material costs are automatically directed to that specific account number. Standard labor hours associated with each assembly can help with job estimates and the allocation of costs. Illustrated below is a record to install a pole, remove that pole, install a crossarm, and remove a crossarm. The time it takes to install and remove is tracked on the right and totaled for the work order. Now let's look at a GIS system map using OpenPoint map to take a look at an asset and see how it looks to inspect a pole with construction units. Within ArcGIS Pro, let's find a pole and inspect its construction units. Here we have a primary pole. I'm going to use the selection tool to highlight my selection and switch to the OpenPoint tab. From here, I'm going to open up the construction unit pane. I'm going to use the attribute pane to select the feature I want to inspect, this primary pole, and on the right side, in this construction unit pane, I can see it has 3 construction units on it. The first is a 15 kV insulator installed in 1978 with a count of 8. The second is a 10-foot crossarm installed in the same year with a count of 4. And the third is the pole itself installed in the same year. This construction unit has the year, the quantity, the station it's associated with, as well as the accounting district where it resides. I can also inspect the wires attached to that pole. In the attribute pane, I'll select this one. Here I can see a construction unit for overhead primary with a length of 193 feet and a linear sag of 104%. Stay tuned for more as we take a deeper dive into the complexities of assemblies.